All right, 7 o'clock, we'll go ahead and get the meeting started. The open meetings act is on the back wall. And roll call when taken for every standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I'm gonna open this meeting, first by introducing our new city administrator, Bob Oliva. Oliver. Okay. I'll get it right one of these days.
Hi, Bob.
Also, I'd like to make a statement about our last month's meeting. Our CPA came in and kind of gave us a chew out. For being, cash decreased by almost 400,000. What he forgot to mention is that in 2022, we had an influx of cash due to an ARPA funds from the government, and I believe we also had a loan. So if you look at the audit report, he's actually got a graph in there that will show you a big influx of cash from 2022 to 2023, or 2021 to 2022, and then 22 to 23, we showed the 400,000 decrease. So that report can be seen by anybody. So let's go ahead and start with public comments.
Consent agenda.
Brandy, I also want to thank Brandy for being our interim administrator for the last couple of months. She will be working right alongside with Bob for the next 3 months until we get him all broken and up to speed. So.
Hey, Mike, we need to do the consent agenda first.
Sorry. So we need a motion for the consent agenda, either one at a time or three.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Yes. I'll second.
A motion to approve the consent agenda was made by Thompson and seconded by Chittenden. Thompson,
Yes.
Schminty,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes. Okay, now we'll go ahead to the open discussion. Lindsay Nelson, we're up.
Why, well, we get to go first.
You're the only one.
Hello, happy new year to all. Hey, anyway, couple things. I know, hopefully nobody shoots me, but I know we've had the vote for the city sales tax come to the public 2 or 3 times and we missed getting it passed by this much. And I think in the interest of getting our property taxes more in line like the rest of the state, and I know we're gonna get a state tax increase on the sales tax. I think we need to put sales tax in for not what we purchase, but what's shipped into our town. And anyone knows the value of the property up there at I-10 Park, and we thank for everybody that lives up there. It's a great addition to our town. At 60 homes at $300,000 a piece, and material comes into Omaha, that's $18 million. We had 1% of that. What would that do? We need to get that on the ballot. And I think we need to be positive for this. I know it's gonna hurt. If you buy a new car, yeah, it's gonna cost 1%, but we'd rather have our property taxes more value, more like that. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. The schools a little bit, we gotta do that too. The other thing is since we have some rules that we have to follow, and I'm not against them, everybody needs to follow them. We have to park on the concrete, which in the snowstorm, what a great job you guys did on the snow, thank you. We have a process to make sure the alleys are done in a timely manner, and I don't expect them done the day of. Maybe just make sure we're using it in a couple of days and prioritize it. Some aren't even used, some are used more. My tenants called me and they just want, do we have a process? That's all I'm really questioning. Other than that, that's all I have.
Let me address the sales tax issues. My understanding, us up here cannot bring it forward to bring it to the ballot, so it would have to be a citizen that would bring it
Okay,
and do the drive. So if you're willing to head that up,
I'll recruit some help, yes, I think it's,
You'd be a great asset.
what was it, I heard the last time we went to the ballot, we lost by 12 votes, and I couldn't say I was one of the dumb ones that didn't realize what the value is, and if we buy, there's going to be more homes being built in our town in the next few years, we might as well get it while we can. So little of what we purchase goes into that, I know a lot of people, I object to do it at first, but if there's a way we can get our property tax reduced, I'm all for it.
Okay, I would expect to see you heading that up for us.
I've got some people that I can recruit. I've already been finding a few.
Okay, to your second question with the alleyways, Luke worked really hard getting the main streets open. And then, he does that, and he might do that for 1 or 2 days, like this last storm, I think it was 2 days you worked on those, Luke, pretty straight. Just those streets,
Yeah, I understand. And you got the time, and this was a storm of 100 years. I mean, it was cold.
you know,
I just wanna make sure we have a process and.
Yeah, and he had-
Because not every alley needs it, but some
yeah,
do.
and he had trouble clearing the alleyways.
Oh, I know.
With the trucks that we had,
Yeah,
so we kind of had to wait for the payloader to help out with
yeah,
that.
I
So-
understand. Yeah, that's deep.
But as soon as the streets are clear to satisfaction, then we'll hit the alleys, and I know there's some alleys that are used for parking and that, and garages, and I understand that those people.
Well, just as long as, not saying anybody needs to be treated any different than anybody else, is, we need to do that.
And we are aware of.
Yeah, I know you are. I'm sure you are.
Uses it, to get into their property.
Some people, we
Right,
sit here on
right.
the sidelines and we don't know what your processes are,
Yeah.
just, it's good to know.
And the drifting really caused
I
problems.
know, it was a
this
horrible
last storm.
storm.
Yep, it's,
Lucky we didn't have any water main break, really.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on, yes, we have Clint with Lauren.
I'm gonna sneak a chair up here because I'll be writing them down and go through this, but as promised, Clayton was able to get out here. I believe it was last week and do the profit evaluation. I got a couple copies here and. Got the spreadsheet here. Copies here for you guys. I got plenty to go around. Just to kind of start before we dive into this, I was able to meet with Luke this afternoon, and him and I went through your equipment schedule and your auto schedule. We did, we're making some changes to that, and just based on what you have and what you don't. You did get rid of a 2016 Hustler mower and had to do 2024. And again, this is something that I'm gonna do annually with Luke, and go through this just because things change, people forget, and it's just one of those things that, that can kind of get missed. So this is part of my process to make sure every member is properly insured. So, we made a few changes, and I'll dive in a little bit deeper, into the pivot and the John Deere irrigation power unit here in a second. But then also, like, we have an arc welder, we're insured for $250, it's with a $500 deductible. And we also have a 2005 cutting torch and 2 tanks for $400, again, $500 deductible. You also have miscellaneous tools and equipment. So, in telling Luke, we've got $18,000 there, it doesn't make sense, now if we have a total loss and we have $18,000 of miscellaneous tools and equipment lost, then we can use that $18,000 with a $500 deductible, and you don't have those itemized values on there. So it just makes sense to get rid of some of those smaller things. So we're gonna make those changes, and essentially, we're gonna save you a little bit of money on your inland marine, is what Conroe Western calls it. We call it additional property or contract. So we'll get those changes made. Autos look good. The only thing that we did add, and actually Brandy, brought it to our attention that we didn't have, a dump trailer that we've had for a few years. So we added that dump trailer, and that's already in there. So let's dive into our property valuation. And Brandon, I'm gonna give you guys a copy since you're sitting over there. That you can just flip over here. That way you guys can take a look at it, too. But I'm leaving this book with you guys and an additional copy. And this is what Clayton does, comes out and does these property evaluations. But we're gonna go through this tonight, item by item, and make suggestions, recommendations, and there might be items that we're not making, we're gonna leave alone, we're not gonna touch. But essentially, this is part of the additional value that Lon brings to you guys. So, if you look at the sheet that I gave you, it's pretty self-explanatory, but let me go through this. We've got a description of the property. We got the address. And then the next three columns is how we have it insured today, or how you have it insured with the way you were prior to moving to Larm. And we still have it exactly this way right now. The next three columns, well, let's go through each column. So you have building values, you have contents inside those buildings, and then you have what we call property in the open, PIO. PIO would be your fencing, your playground equipment, lights, poles, those type of items. And kind of Western does categorize your water towers PIO. It's a higher rate PIO. We consider it a building. So just so you know, when you look at this first item that we're going through and you're looking at the building value, why did it go from 48,000 to $1.5 million? Well, we moved the value of it into the building and took it away from your PIO. So, okay. And then the last three columns would be the way, what we're going to come up with tonight as far as an agreement to make sure everybody's on board of the understanding that we're going to move some of this. Now, I know the question came up last meeting, what's this going to cost you? If you guys go with all the proposed changes that we're going through and you want to, move everything to, from actual cash value, in the case of this building, to full replacement cost, and we move all the items, I mean, we're looking at adding about $1.791 million. So it is a pretty significant increase. But overall, you're only looking at with roughly $6,000 annually as far as additional contributions, which is still about $10,000 less than what you're paying on Western Union. So, and quite honestly, you're going to have better coverage with this proposal too. So, any questions as far as the Excel spreadsheet that I laid out in front of you? Anybody have any questions on that? And stop me if you do have questions once I dig into this. Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's start with the water tower control building. This is again, I'm going to show you guys pictures just so we all know what we're talking about. So this is your water building and your control your water tower and your control building on here. And this also includes all your electronics. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about your SCADA systems, we're talking about VFDs. I mean, we're talking about everything, lightning strikes, anything that caused damage for this unit. And of course, there's some PIO on this one too, which is your fence. So with this, we did increase the value. So I think you had 936 plus 48,000. Clayton's recommendation, if this whole thing was completely destroyed, it's about 1.5 million, just a little over, about 1,548,000 and some change. There's no contents at this location, but we do have fencing of $36,400. So that's his recommendation to get this to your replacement cost value.
Does that include the water tower too, or just?
Yes, water tower controls, the
tower?
building, yeah.
Is it itemized? I'm curious, if just the building is destroyed, but the tower's still good, or? Would that still insured, right?
It's still insured.
Okay, got it.
Right, yeah.
Lindsay, if you could just,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
thank you.
So everything here is insured, so the only thing that's not insured is that very last building at the end, or at the bottom. Because it's not in use, and I think potentially you guys are looking at tearing that down, so. Yeah. So any questions on that? Any concerns as far as value? And again, as far as Clayton is concerned, he goes and he visits with the guys down in Kansas that build these water towers. So he measures obviously the gallons, but also the height and what it costs to put these things back up. So. Any concerns there? If not, we'll move on. The next item would be this building here. And, oops, I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Yep. And this is the lift station equipment and generator, okay? Again, this is all covered under the building value of $948,900. Essentially, really, the building itself, the value didn't go up simply because of the generator. So we've got a new generator at this location, so.
But are you saying 294 is the building valuation or 948? I'm not seeing the 948 on.
I'm sorry, did I say
He
two ninety-four?
probably meant 244,900 was original.
Original,
And then it
right,
went
and
up 50 grand.
about 50 grand,
Gotcha.
294
sense.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
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 So, but again, we added a generator to this location. We also did correct the address, so we had a wrong address at this location. So, we got 935 County Road in. So we corrected the location. That's it, right? It's not 935 County Road in.
535.
Scott, I'm sorry, I'm spelling the number up tonight, 535 County Road in.
And that's what you have on the spreadsheet.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
I was listening to that, I'm like, nine is like.
No, I'm sorry,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying 9, no, 535 County.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can I ask, is that,
sure.
is, that sound right for the valuation of all the
Go see the
new,
lift station today.
stuff we put in there?
Did you go see the
last
lift
year?
station?
Okay, James. 294,000 doesn't seem like enough.
So we got new VFDs, new pumps, all new electronics in there.
Okay.
$1,000, and then you're paying for a lot of that labor though too.
Now,
Well, let me ask you, like, is a lot of it like, under the, I mean, is there stuff that potentially can't be destroyed?
That can't.
Yeah, like, concrete underground.
Yeah, so there's a big like basement in that thing, so there's pumping equipment, piping, that kind of stuff down in the basement. And then all your electrical controls, that's all on the main level.
So if I was to say,
We
let's,
rent both
if we had a major lightning strike, would essentially, could that easily go over 300,000?
Oh, I would, yeah,
Okay,
I think so.
okay. Is there a way?
I think we had probably close to 400 or 500
Of equipment.
electrical and controls. That would include that generator that you're talking about too, but,
Okay,
and those would have been the numbers from last year. Like, those are pretty.
Sure.
That's a lot of engineering.
okay. I'm gonna write that down. So in a complete disaster situation, what would you say the value of that would be? I mean, if it was a complete loss.
Like you have to rebuild the building and everything,
Yeah.
you're 1.5 million, yeah.
$1 million, okay,
And you're talking the basement too, Zach?
okay,
You think it's 1.5 enough for a lawyer car?
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, our guy just, sometimes on that equipment stuff, he doesn't have good,
right,
you know, I mean, it's gone up so much.
yeah, that stuff's all brand new, so those
Okay.
are pretty decent numbers.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we'll get that number corrected then, so. The next item we have would be this building here. And again, we're at that same location.
No, that's what we're talking about.
The storage building.
No.
This is a different building.
Yeah, that's got the old there.
It's got the old generator. So essentially, our understanding is this building is going to just be used as storage from this point on. So we reduce the value of this.
Where's the mall?
It's
That's
a
at
lift
that-
station.
Where?
Lift station, that's where the old generator was stored in.
So we're gonna reduce this one from 60,000 down to 12,000. Because if it's just gonna be used as storage, and no, I mean, essentially that's all it's gonna be used for.
Is that replacement cost?
Yeah.
I don't think you can build a building like that for 12,000 out in space, right? Yeah. We can continue.
Yeah, that's what he reduced it down to 12, so. And we've got a little, let's say it costs 15,000 to replace it, we've got some blanket coverage that we can dip into on that too, so. We're just gonna go do this right, so. Okay. All right, the next item is the building, pavilion and playground equipment, and this is at 408 Third Street. Okay. At this location, we've got the building itself, insured at 24,200. We didn't change the value of that. But in talking with Luke, really, he doesn't store anything in there, so he said everything's kind of scrap that's in there. And we had $12,200 of contents in there, essentially, he said junk. So we are gonna remove the $12,200 in contents and just take that to zero, because there's nothing of value in there. And then your property in the open would be that little wooden train set, the fire siren, and some playground equipment, and we'll insure that at 45,000.
The fire siren equipment is inside that building.
That would be, if it, is it attached to the building? It would be part of the building. Yeah, that would be, if I can't physically walk out with it, it's not contents, that becomes part of the building. Kind of like an air conditioner, hot water heater, that time. Okay? All righty. Then we've got another siren, and I don't believe we had this one insured on the other policy. Well, maybe we did. Yeah, we did. It's up by the elementary school. We've got 1106 Second Street. So we've got that insured at 25,000. Okay. The next item is pump house number 1. Okay. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this one, we talked about reducing this one down to 12,000, didn't we? Or essentially, it's decommissioned. It's decommissioned. So in talking with Luke this afternoon, he's like, let's take that back down to that other building. Because there's really no value of that, so we were gonna reduce that down to 12,000, save you guys some contribution there, so. Because if it's destroyed, you're not gonna, put a new well in there. Okay. Next item. And this is your pump house number 2, equipment, VFD and generator. And we may need some help here. We did increase the value, had this insured at 72,600. He recommended increasing this to 104,000.
Building replacement costs on a well, I'd imagine.
If a lighting's hit it.
Yeah, I mean, I got to drill a well, because it's from my head, that was like about $500,000, but that's drilling a well and those type of things. So building itself, you're out.
Yeah, and electronics inside.
Somewhere between 100, 150.
Okay.
That's it's reasonable at least.
Okay. Okay. So we'll go ahead and leave that one at 104,600. Okay. The next item is the city shop. And I did talk to Luke on this one a little bit too. We didn't have any content coverage inside this building, but after talking with him, we've got some oils, some bulk oils, we've got a few smaller tool items, signs, water meters, that type of thing. He felt like 15,000 would probably be suffice on contents. And then also increasing the value of that building from replacement cost from 212 to 590.
And that would go with the tool chest and all the tools in there.
Yep. So. Okay. All right, next item is pump house. let's see,
Seven.
yeah, 7, so this is another pump house, this is at Iton Park.
Yeah.
And he didn't change the value, left that at 81,600, there's no generator at this location either. No changes there. All right, then we jump to Iton Park again, we're talking about the press box concessions restroom. We didn't change the value of that, and we left the contents in there at 13,400.
What were the contents for 13,400 that were driving that?
We would have like a refrigerator, popcorn during the summer, you'd have all your vending items in there.
Press, I mean, all the speak, I mean, this, you know, all the equipment for the press box.
There was some remotes too, that possibly for the scoreboard stuff. I mean, if you think that's a little steep, we can reduce it.
Yeah, just, I mean, something.
I mean, the
to talk
fridge is
about,
very
right? I haven't been in the concession stand in years, but for the most part.
I haven't
pretty
been for a
fair.
couple of years, but I know when they had to get like a new fridge,
It's,
you think that's good for the price?
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's far off. Okay.
Then we have, the restroom and storage building here, and then also, we'll talk a little bit about the property in the open. So the property in the open is defined here. We've got lights, poles, backstops, dugouts, scoreboards, bleachers, basketball courts, pickleball courts, and all the fencing. So we did have kind of a steep increase here of about $100,000 just due to the cost of that, those items that were insured there, so
But
especially.
we've done
fence-
a lot of increases, yeah, I mean, a lot of improvements down there the last couple of years.
last
so.
year.
Even with that backstop thing that was put up, that was.
And then contents inside that building, pretty minimal, but we've got a little bit of ball equipment in there for $1,700, so. But the price of the building remained the same, 90,700.
Just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, that 179,000, that's both the building and the contents, right? There's not a separate deductible for just the contents.
But that, so that if you're looking at current property, it's 179, but we're recommending going up to 296 on the PIO. So this PIO, let's say that you have a tornado at that point, you're gonna incur one deductible. So even if you have multiple buildings in it that suffer losses, along with PIO, you don't have a deductible for PIO and a deductible for the building and content. You have a $1,000 deductible, everything's covered on that one specific occurrence. Even if it goes all the way across town and hits multiple buildings, you still are only going to incur $1,000.
Cause it's to one weather.
One weather-related occurrence.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. The next item would be just this shelter here. And again, he didn't change the value on this shelter here. He left it at $5,900. Then we have a larger shelter. And again, left that at $18,100. And then we had a small white storage building that got moved to this part. And we were insuring that at 4,200. I think it was at a different location. But it's now located at this part.
And it's just Ant Park?
Yes,
That was the only one I has no. Which one? The one in ICANN, the white shed?
Yeah.
then maybe you didn't have it insured prior to that.
Okay,
So,
no, it's been there for years.
Okay, but
As long as I can.
Is that the new one? I got?
No.
No.
No, that's all done.
It's the one that used to be,
That's-
when the batting cage was down there, it's been there for 40 years. Is there anything in there anymore? Yeah, just some Legion type stuff, okay, banners, mesh netting. Okay. So it's still in use, yeah, that's a question I should have asked you.
The next item would be this location here, City Hall. This is a building that you had insured at actual cash value. So, our recommendation is to take this away from ACV and put it at a replacement cost. In doing so, it'd go from 190, or excuse me, 121 to 316,000 for replacement cost. Contents inside this building would be 38,000. Again, the contents would be computers, desks, chairs, tables. But any fixed structure, like, your desk up there that's fixed into the wall, that's part of your building, so.
Do we think that's enough since we just got all new office furniture? That was
$15,000.
it, I thought it was more than that.
$15,000.
And with all the computers and the printer.
Well, we don't own the printer, so
We just leased them.
Yeah, I'd say you're pretty darn close. Okay. All right, the next item, Hayes Ball Fields. We've got this concession stand restroom building. We didn't change the value on this, I don't believe. It was at 90,700. That remained the same. Contents in that building are $5,900, again, concession items. But we did slightly increase the PIO, so we're including scoreboards, bleachers, dugouts, fencing, backstops, lights and poles.
So I would say that one, wouldn't you guys say that's worth as much as the Legion Field, if not, at least for the content inside of it?
I think the contents in ICANN seem high. I think it'd be
Okay.
hard for us to find.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I mean, they have at least the same amount of stuff,
Yeah.
probably in this one, and they've got,
The speaker system, you don't have the scoreboard stuff down at Hayes like you do at ITN.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could be discounting that too, by the contents of the scoreboard. I haven't ever lost one of those out at the same time.
But just the scoreboard was 15,000, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to buy the extra shit for it, stuff for it.
But that would be separate from contents versus PIO though.
But if
well,
you're
the
storing
floorboard
like,
should be, the floorboard outside though should be. in the
Yeah,
PIO.
that's PIO, right? It would be your handheld control
Yeah,
box.
yeah.
Which, that's not hand, it's a big one.
Yeah.
Then we jump to the this building here. Full storage building. $9,600, nothing changed there. We're not insuring any contents in there. We do have a couple of little lawn tractors, but we're including that into the miscellaneous unscheduled property on contractors' equipment, since they're like between $600 to $800. So we're not gonna individualize those things. Okay, then we have the white storage building. Yep, so, we didn't have that one on the schedule, so it's $4,200 there. Cost. And then we double checked today, Luke and I looked through the new, cause he's like, well, this thing got destroyed last time, but it must have not got it added, so, you kind of the batting cages, I think that is with that, so we did add that, cause we couldn't find it on the schedule, 48,000 for that. Does that sound about right?
Is that right?
I wasn't part of that.
Sorry.
That got destroyed.
Did Sean Wentworth lead that up?
Maybe what?
Did Sean lead that?
I'm not sure. I wasn't part of it. I would guess JC had something to do with
Oh, the
that.
JC, okay.
What I would recall is that it was, something happened, hailstorm maybe. And totaled that, the old one out, and we got new roofs for the batting cage or the dugouts down there and a new batting cage. But like I said, I wasn't part of any of the discussions on it, so I don't.
Okay, well, we'll get it on there and we'll have coverage for the 48,000. All right. Then we jump into Again, a shelter and some playground equipment. Lights, poles, playground equipment, basket. We have 2 scoreboards here also. This is a picnic shelter.
Score tents on that side.
Scoreboards would be just for the baseball fields.
So
No.
that would.
Oh, it says no, it was corrected. So there was scoreboards located at this location, but we moved them to 9-1. So we moved those scoreboards to this location and took them off of this location.
And that's at,
But that doesn't have any score.
yeah, that's at Timber Crest Park, so that's Timber Crest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we removed the scoreboards that were located here
Okay.
and put them at the right location.
Okay.
So,
I don't think 130,000 enough for playground structure, you guys.
And by the sports court.
Not the need prices.
Well, that's what I'm saying, it's replacement costs. 130,000, not gonna buy a new playground, so that's a little.
yeah, that's pretty nice playground equipment. This is that,
And that sports court, how much was that now?
12,000. Use the splash pad.
the splash pad, we got that. I want to see if the line item, yeah. The splash pad's coming up. Oh, okay. So this would be just,
I think that needs to go up to 200,000 at least.
200,000?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
I mean, I haven't pressed playground equipment.
At least 175.
I haven't been able to.
130.
I have cost $10,000 or more.
Yeah. So 175?
Is that good for everybody?
Randy, did we
We have
have
it
that?
at 45,000.
Wasn't he out here and gave us a bid on that playground?
I think so.
Do you recall what that was?
I don't. I do not recall.
I'd say that playground equipment alone is probably 130,000.
Yeah.
Now that I'm looking at it.
It's not even sensitive, but it's-
I don't think it is.
Just because I researched it.
I know going to these
Okay, we'll buy
conferences,
that.
all the playgrounds we look at, there's anywhere from 200 to 300,000.
Okay,
So we did have, I'll name this company, Eric Crouch came out, Crouch Recreation, yeah. And he gave us a bid if we want to go off of that, that was last year. We probably need to look up and get an idea of what that amount was, but I don't know if we want to wait on that and we can let you know what that.
we can always,
Or say they're anywhere from 200 to $300,000 for a
I
good.
wanted to say it was maybe 300,000.
Mhm.
we can always bump it more. Let's just bump it to 200 now in case something will happen between now and then. And then if we need to add more
Well,
to it.
just to let you guys know,
Yeah.
kind of the ballpark.
And that'll be the sports court, it'll be a shelter, it's a shelter, a sports court and all the playground
Mhm.
stuff.
And that's coming.
No, I'm saying that's what
That's-
it would be.
oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
If we're saying that's 200 to 300,000 loan, we just have to add on the sports
Sports
court
court.
and the
Yeah.
pavilion.
And some lights. We got
And
some
lights.
lighting out there, so. Okay. Then we have the sign here. The LED sign, 33,000, we didn't change the,
I'm gonna say the one out there is maybe worth 33,000, but to replace that one, we're looking at anywhere from 50 to 75,000.
in today's market.
Yes,
Okay.
because CJ and I have been pricing them because ours is ancient and
Okay. And would it be similar to this? So like.
yeah,
that
if we
got
went
destroyed,
something like that, it would
it's
be.
50 to
Mhm.
75.
Yep.
Should we just put it at 65 then?
Yeah,
It's 39,000. Right,
Yes. Yeah, it's
And it's double sided too.
Yeah.
so.
It's crazy what the prices of this. The next item is their library. I was looking at that today. I was just looking at the contents inside there. Again, the value of this went up quite a bit, to 408. The contents inside there are 181,000. I just jumped in there to look today. I mean, you've got all Apple computers in there, lots of books, lots of DVDs. Some of that's hard to say if you would replace if it was destroyed in a fire or not, but, I think 181,000 felt pretty good on that, the contents in there. So.
Yeah.
Okay. The next item would be, here's your splash pad. So we've got a concessions restroom, splash pad, and then we also have, called a bypass room, which I think recycles the water. We took a picture of that too.
We don't recycle a lot, do we?
That's the. control station. I
Oh, pumps, okay, just pumps, okay.
don't think that's enough. I'm pretty sure the splash pad was 180,000 by itself.
The splash pad was, okay.
We just had to get the bucket repaired, and was the bucket, $5,500.
Holy.
Yeah, the
moly.
bucket was
Actually,
crazy when we got that
Okay.
fixed or replaced.
So what are you thinking on the splash? Cause it wasn't 121, and you put it at 129.
Yeah.
So you think
At least be 200,000.
200,000?
Well, that's with the building too, guys.
The building itself is separate.
Oh, the building is?
Yeah, that's 90,700. The splash pad was 129.
Oh, gotcha, because that's PIO. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we'll bump that up to 200,000. Then your last item. The last item, we are going to change a little bit. We've got your irrigation pivot and your diesel motor. So, we are going to remove that from your equipment schedule, because the way you had your pivot insured was at $5,000 deductible. Actual cash value of $30,000. So if that thing tips over in a windstorm, you may be getting 15, 20,000, now probably not even 20,000 because it was actual cash value. So we're gonna put it on a replacement cost basis at $110,000. Then your engine is also gonna be part of the property, so along with the flow meter. And then I talked, with Luke, and he said, yeah, let's go ahead and insure probably that tank too, the diesel tank. And replacement costs on that's about $5,000 for that. It wouldn't include any fuel, but at least it would get your tank back, so. So we will remove that from your contractor's equipment, which actually has a higher rate. And then add it to your property piece, which will save you a little bit of money, but yet we're increasing the value, so it's probably a wash. Yeah. Any questions, concerns? And again, this is a moving document, so we can make changes to this at any point in time. But you've got pictures of everything, you know, you guys can talk to your engineer if any of this doesn't feel right, if you think something's wrong, let us know, we can always change it, but. These things are always changing just because of inflation, especially it's been moving quite a bit and. You know, some of that electronic stuff inside those buildings. Until we talk to somebody else, we don't know. I mean, a water treatment plant now these days they were at $500,000, now they're $2.5 million. So, but we'll get these changes made and. Get ready for the spring, so that we'll have everything at replacement cost. Okay,
Sounds good.
all right, perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
You bet.
Okay, we'll move on to resolution 2024-3.
This resolution is one that we sign every year, and it's just saying that we do not give any finances or taxing money to the fire department.
Motion to approve. We enter into the MFO. Applications. Begin in 2024.
Resolution 2024-3.
Motion to approve resolution 2024-3. Thank you.
Second.
A motion to pass resolution 2024-3 mutual finance organization was made by Sheminti and seconded by Peterson. Sheminti,
Yes.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to our action items, authorize JEO Consulting Group to coordinate with city clerk to establish a bid opening date and begin advertising for bids on the 29th Street and 45 gallons. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I guess we sent over the information to Brandy. I think we have it in motion here, but it's just practice to get council approval to start advertising for that project. We were targeting advertisements on February 22nd, February 29th, and March 7th, with the bid opening scheduled at 10 a.m. on March 14th. Unfortunately, that misses your next meeting if you slide that up a week. But there's I mean, those bids are good for 60 days, I believe is what they're required, so we could hit that on the next regular meeting. Or we could even consider a special meeting if we wanted to try to get that awarded sooner, assuming that those bids come back in. But March 14th is bid opening, and then I should note the final opinion of cost for the project is just over $656,000. 656,340. I feel fast about that estimate compared to those ones from earlier.
We'll see if we'll get those engineering fees out.
I'm a lot more prepared for that one, but I'm just gonna bypass right by that. That's got the street improvements, water main improvements, and then sanitary sewer as well, so. Hitting quite a few infrastructure items on that area.
So Zach, plan that out, if we did have a special meeting on that. What's the estimated start date of the project?
We were, well, so
Assuming we don't wait until April, but
what we had. Let me start out with the end, maybe first, what we have listed in the contract currently is to have them complete by October 1st of this year. So it'd be substantial completion with cleanup for final completion done by October 31st. So working that back, if we're taking bids on March 14th. We're probably fully through contracting and ready for them to proceed early May, I would say. There's really nothing too special here from a materials standpoint or construction standpoint, so it's not like we're waiting on any long lead time items or anything like that, what we had on that lift station project. Should be able to jump right on it. We have seen quite a bit of action in the bidding world, so we're seeing a lot of interest. Seeing some pretty competitive pricing, so keeping my fingers crossed for that.
Make a motion now for NG, coordinate with city clerk.
Second that.
A motion for JEO to coordinate with the city clerk to establish opening bids for the 2019 street improvement project was made by Thompson and seconded by Peterson. Chittenden.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Schminty.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to discussion and possible approval for amendment 4 to the engineering task order for 2019 improvement project.
Okay, so the amendment number 4 to the agreement is essentially a swap of fees between some tasks. So we did, as part of amendment number 2, we did a drainage study for this area, looking at that drainage culvert that runs through the Thompson property or that apartment complex property. That was determined to be appropriately sized after we completed that drainage study. So we had an item identified to do additional design work to upsize that as necessary. That was approved, but that's no longer required. And then what I'm proposing is swapping out that fee for the redesign efforts that have already been completed to remove the parking on the north side of Poplar Street. So that was a late change in the game. We pulled all that parking out on the north side, realigned the sidewalk through there and reworked the grading plan. So I was proposing to just do a swap there, so it'd be a.
Yeah, some parking. It doesn't have lights.
Yeah. That's what we discussed.
We were gonna get rid of it because Kip is going to be putting in 2 separate driveways. So with 2 different separate driveways, there really wasn't enough room to put parking at all there.
And he talked to you about that after.
Yeah, he came in and brought in his plans the next day. Yeah,
Okay.
and then we talked to Zach and everything, and just with 2 separate drives, there really wasn't.
Yeah. I just
A
wanted
point
make sure
to-
you had awareness
yeah.
before you got-
Yep.
I wasn't aware you came talks. Okay. Just swap it, things like that. I think we get credit on there.
So I'm showing 19 total parking stalls. That would be in this area, and 4 kind of regular parking stalls and then 4 handicap stalls. Of that 19, there was that existing parking area just on the north side of the fire station there that would be reestablishing, but
So it's 19 additional, right?
no, 19 total. Additional would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you got 8 additional on First Street. Plus 2 handicap. 10 total.
T22.
C-22.
Those, the two handicap, those are right next to the library, is that correct?
Correct. And then in the sidewalk, you've got
So
an
this
ADA
side is on
accessible
the fire
ramp and
department,
everything too,
right.
so that's
and
all
then this is over by the library.
brought up to code in that area.
And then
Matt, we have handicap behind.
Zach, I just wanted to ask that 100-year-old tree, we're
I
leaving
turned
that,
one in
right?
Holly's Day. I know there were a couple spots.
Because that was one thing they wanted left, was that tree.
It's shown.
Okay.
That was the only thing I thought about, like, kids is like, could those be a couple handicap ones, like, it's not big enough for a barn.
So I know last time the
No,
sidewalk
yeah,
kind of made
yeah.
that weird cut.
Is that water main going there now?
So what we have shown is the proposed sidewalk. And you can see that on that same C 2.2 runs right through the trunk of that really big tree. And then the water main is kind of going right through there as well.
Okay.
So, right, I think a lot of that water main ends up being underneath that sidewalk.
Now, was that in
There's-
the original plan before we took out the parking?
Correct. Yeah, so we had identified removing that to get that water main
Picture
in.
in the original plan, it shows removing that tree.
It does,
It does.
yeah. But I thought at the last meeting it had shown the sidewalk going around the
Yes,
tree.
yeah, Sidewalk shown going around, we felt like it made a lot of sense to just have a straight run of sidewalk through there, tree was going out regardless.
Yeah.
If the tree has to stay in there. We'd be looking to, we'd need to realign the sidewalk and then we need to realign that water main. There's not a ton of room though, so you'd have
Yeah.
to be boring that into place and. Your ability to access that in the future is challenging.
That tree on Yonah check, or
Yana checks.
Yes.
or did they want, Yonah wanted the tree, didn't they?
Temporary cut it down.
Mhm.
And I was, it's
Yeah. Yonah check.
city right away.
And that's what they talked about.
It's still city right away.
That's the last thing.
And that's based off of. Our surveyors have actual property pin shots too, so the accuracy of that ranch is pretty good. We know where that right of way line is.
They were removing those old trees.
Yeah. That's not even like that's not even close really to even. Be split, like it's 70% on our right.
I just think somebody needs to talk probably to Yonah checks, because that was the consensus at the last meeting, is that we were keeping that tree. And going around it.
Yeah, I guess let me know if that changes. I would still, we've made the motion, but I think that's still best to move forward with the bids. And then we do take bids on a unit price basis, so that allows us to get competitive pricing on all those individual elements. And then if we decide to pull something out or make revisions, that contract would have to offer those unit prices. So we restructure the contract to give us flexibility to adjust things during construction.
Make a motion to approve amendment number 4 to the engineering task order. Second.
A motion to approve amendment number 4 to the engineering task order for the 2019 street improvement project was made by Thompson and seconded by Chittenden. Peterson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Sheminti.
Yes.
Chittenden.
Yes.
And so we'll move on to discussion items, the first one being the awning. Brandy, you still have the price for the contract before.
Let me go grab them. I've reached out to several different companies and I've only ever had one get back to me about replacing the awning and keeping it exactly as is. And it's looking at about 3,400.
Now, is that the whole frame or is that just,
That's just the, keeping the frame, existing framing, just the fabric.
Really not even the soap back together.
No,
When was the last time we replaced? it?
it's been a long time,
Does
cause
it?
yeah, it's been a while since it's been replaced and
Like
they
3 or
said
4 years or?
like longer than that. And they said with all the fading on it and everything, that it'd probably be better just to replace the whole thing.
Say it's 36,
hmm
36, 34.
34, sorry.
But that's the PIO item.
And they. Makes sense what it would look like.
Exactly like what it is right now.
That's it.
hmm They can do different things if we want, but then that will fluctuate on the cost.
Who got back to you on it? Was it?
Um, Atlas awning?
Did you reach out to Lincoln?
Mhm.
They never got back. to you?
No.
Down.
that's an option.
Yeah, and then there's also discussion of taking it down altogether or possibly looking at something like what the church next door did.
That's it. I could see someone be opposed to taking it down, I guess.
Only problem with taking it down, we do have, security cameras and lights and.
Mhm.
For the weather anyway, so.
But do we keep the frame for a while, like take it off, say, okay, we like to live with this, or do we want to end up ordering the material and putting it back up?
I haven't looked at it. So
I think
it's hard for anybody on it.
I think I would, I'm gonna be 12 volts and get it down.
Yeah,
We can.
but I'm saying keep the frame in case we decide that we want to order the materials to put it back up.
Sorry, something that's like, oh, my
Okay,
God,
okay,
sign
sounds
up,
good, thank you.
An LED sign up there. I mean, something.
Thanks, guys.
I think when there's 4,500 on our concentration. That'd be good, and those are the more expensive individual block letters, right, if you did. Something more updated, that's that city detail. Some options.
I think it's just talking apples to oranges, right? Like the awning is, it's bad weather, whatever, it's just,
Yeah.
and it's, sticks out a little more of a structural element than just something flat on the building. So it depends what look you're going for.
And we take it down for now and then make sure we keep the frame. We're down, we got a couple of buildings we can store it in, so.
You don't think we're at anything if we do that?
Never not have anything if you leave it up either. I mean, it's already ripped. So. Yeah, I was like, whatever,
And
whatever.
we could reach out on Facebook, see if there's any local seamsters that want to try to fix it.
If they have an industrial strength.
Good.
Sewing machine and everything, yeah.
I can see that lady up at Cedar Bluffs.
Yeah.
Well, what about, the Schuler's grant stuff? I mean, don't they do boat seats and all that? They do upholstery.
I'll send you a couple contacts.
That was just hold off.
Okay, next item is finding CPA. Do you want to do that? There we can talk about splitting CPA and the auditor up, so that one's not looking at his own books. We've been advised that that would be a good choice to do.
Have you had that in the past?
In Kansas, it's illegal to have both. You have to have someone else.
Got the same color CPA, she's like that.
Yeah, I've talked to other clerks about it and they're like, how can your CPA get away with that?
You shouldn't be able
And-
to actually.
Yeah, they couldn't believe that our CPA was also auditing his own books, so.
So is the question, are we looking for a new CPA or are we looking for a new auditor?
Some of the firms I looked at or companies, they have two different departments and one does the CPA part, and the other side does the auditing, and they don't ever interact with each other, so it's two different groups that do it. I know our current one really struggles with our new system. And he's against it.
I guess for me, I think we should be looking at every vendor relationship we have, right? And just reevaluating that. I mean, not just CPA and auditor, but just everybody. Look at that every other year, or something like that, just to make sure things are competitive.
Checks and balances.
Yeah.
All of them, right?
Yeah.
Say,
Before we would cut ties with a vendor we've been with for many years, I would hope that we put a lot of thought into that decision, something that, you know, Bob would be able to weigh into once he gets familiar with what we're doing.
Typically, on like accounting and CPA stuff, you want to revisit it every 3 years.
Mhm.
Usually they're a 3-year contract.
Okay.
yeah, and we've been with Ed and them for over 40 years.
And the only thing I will say about that is there is a history
Mhm.
and we have a lot of turnover down here. So that is a constant that we've had. And we really have, I mean, in 40 years, we really haven't had. I just don't want us switching because we didn't like the tongue lashing that we got maybe last month. And so I'm fine with doing a separate auditor, keep the CPA for now. And then if we want to revisit it after that, I mean, that's already gonna pull away some of that business, you know, that they've been used to getting.
I guess I don't know how it works in that world, but I'm assuming you can reach out to people and see what it would cost us for
Mhm.
whatever, so I mean, it's not gonna hurt, well, I mean, I think it's not gonna hurt to ask, right?
I would also reach out to the clerks to find out who's using Power Manager. To find out who they're using for CPAs and.
I know a few that used to use Ed and Lisa. And they switched to Power Manager and they also quit using Ed and Lisa.
Yeah.
Because
that's-
they like QuickBooks better than anything and no matter how many times they try to show them stuff, they just,
Yeah. I guess like
Yeah.
before we cut ties with a relationship like that, again, I want Bob up to speed and
Mhm.
some heavy input from him. But yeah, I have no qualms about talking to other vendors. I think that's something we should always be doing.
Okay, we'll move on to the next one, it's the all metal bin. Luke, you're up.
I was just gonna request that the funds from the all metals go to a separate account. I know that me and Brandy and CJ, when he was here and talked about it, and Ed was completely against it. It went back into, correct me if I'm wrong, does it go back in the general fund then?
park,
Something,
it goes into park income.
just so that we can use it for full-time employees for whatever. Party expenses, that kind of stuff, instead of going into pay for stuff that we've already got allocated for.
How much info are we talking here?
I don't see it, couple $1,000 maybe.
Yeah. About right now, we have about 2,500 sitting in there,
Right, in the last 2 years.
last year. Mhm.
I think we would have to have some guidelines as to what actually could be spent on. You know, like the appreciation dinner. And that, certain events.
Figure it out. I think that's not a bad idea to do it for straight up towards that. Cause then also it's, because it's all donated anyways.
And can you have it up to a certain amount? So if we say it's $2,500, I think above that, then it goes into whatever fund. You know, if it's only gonna be for, you know, parties or
I don't know.
whatever. Cause I mean, if we don't know, like if everybody's all of a sudden remodeling their kitchen and they pitch a bunch of stuff, or everybody gets new washers and dryers, it could go up.
Yeah, I think you need to set some sort of limit to do that, but again, I don't know the regulations, but you can.
But we're actually, just wait for we could do it first.
Then to look at that, what we can use that money for.
I can do that.
Okay, so we'll have Brandy look into that and Brandy and Bob and we'll readdress that maybe next month. Okay. Supervisor reports. We have the library director here, he's supposed to give us an annual report, so we'll go ahead and go to her.
You guys have the.
Yes, it's in that pile that I gave you.
So yeah, we really have to thank you for this. This is the big bibliostat that I do, is the Nebraska Library Commission wants to know everything about the library. I kind of gave you guys the quick notes. But if you want to know any more, I've got it here and I can make copies for you. You just have to come on the over that and. You have any questions? Let me know.
Okay, Luke's report was on here, I think they wants to, say anything about that, or if you wanna add to it.
I don't think I have anything to add.
Is the GIS okay done?
Great, we started today, in the afternoon. We did almost all of Carlson Heights in about 2 hours, so worked out really well.
Are you guys pulling the flag as you do?
We'll go back and it's gonna be a process, but yeah, we will. So now that both of us know how to use it, one guy can go and one guy will come behind and pick up flags and patch holes. So,
It's like you are gonna refill the holes, correct?
except for Pinecrest. That's the bottom.
You mean the ones the one that comes up to like my mid thigh?
There are some good spots that are a good 12 to 18 inches.
So can we raise this? It should be full, is that right?
Probably can't, they telescope, but only to a certain amount. You might have to get different ones that telescope farther. I'm not really sure, I don't have a lot of experience with that part.
It might be worth making a phone call on, maybe. They're already done it right now, at least marking them so you know. And then if we.
And I can make notes in our GIS that it's a low curb stop, look at replacement.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Okay, we have one, so we might as well make them where they could, I mean, it's busy.
Accessible.
They should be here, so let's make them. Where they're 3 inches below the dirt instead of 2 feet.
Yep. Then I assume the plan is to go back and reseed everything, got tore up, things like that, right? We can, yeah, okay. I don't know if that's part of the normal process or not, just a random thought, never done it before, so.
One better than, let's just take care of it.
Yeah. Some, like the grass isn't growing quite yet, so it'll,
Yeah.
you won't even notice in a month.
Sure.
But ones that we do damage to, yeah, okay, certainly.
Okay, the police chief report is as written. Jim wasn't able to make it tonight. We also have a report from, Robert Costa, the community engagement coordinator, and that's as written. Gives he kind of updates you on his project. And you should also have a city administrative report. Brandy, do you want to comment on any of that?
I don't even remember what I wrote. It seems like forever ago. No, I think it's pretty. No, I think you already went over everything in it, so. Michelle has been helping out here in the office. It's been a great help these past few months, so. Or past month and a half.
So when are you gonna be out of the office again?
I'm gone tomorrow and Thursday. I will be at UNO.
So Michelle will work tomorrow and Thursday, and we'll release them for PPD again.
And then in March, I'm gone a week. So,
Randy will be done in March if, Bob still thinks he might need some help. We'll come back and. Randy goes to.
That's right around the corner. Yeah.
mhm.
Well, I think it's a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
Something like that, but it'll be here before we know it.
Hopefully Bob will pick up speed real quick.
Yeah.
And Robert is supposed to be getting trained on some of that stuff too, so. Well, that's all I got.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Who seconded that? Okay. A motion to adjourn at 8:08 was made by Thompson and seconded by Chittenden. Thompson,
Yes.
Schminty.
Yeah.
Chittenden,
Yes.
Peterson.
All right, thank you, everyone.